Soldiers, we're heading north. Half to Samasuak to join the captains of the Empire and raid the Jotun-held Mithril mine, the pride of Ika's tears. Get in there, rescue our people, and pick up some of our Mithril on the way out. Everyone else to Calavey, sir. Rest, recuperate, and read the signs. Let's show our friends resting with us what it means to be a mystic. Kindra Ettersdottir, General of the Fist of the Mountains. The raid on Pride of Ika's tears relies on cunning and stealth. An expedition from Imperial-held Attalak crossing the vast lake of Atkonartok to Suak Fount. Success relies on escaping detection by the Jotun for as long as possible. Should the Orcs get wind of what is coming, defeat is inevitable. During the summer solstice, the Wintermark Assembly named a warden for the raid, responsible for recruiting brave warriors prepared to risk sneaking into Jotun-conquered Samasuak to raid the Mithril mine, and then flee back south without being stopped by the western barbarians. In the end, more than 100 war bands belonging to brave imperial captains make the trek to Attalak and participate in the dangerous crossing of the Atkonartok. Every imperial nation save the magicians of Urizen are represented. Unsurprisingly, the majority of the raiders are winterfolk, but there are credible contingents of Dornish and Highborn champions prepared to risk all to strike against the Jotun. As well as the captains, a major contingent of winterfolk warriors of all traditions from the Fist of the North support the raid. Combining knowledge of the Suak tundra with subtle divination magics, the far-sighted mystics, ice walkers and runesmiths of the Fist help to plan the route to the Mithril mine, but also, perhaps more importantly, the route back from the northernmost borders of Samasuak. The challenge of the mission cannot be understated. The Jotun are known to be leery of boats and open water, but they make up for this by paying special attention to the shoreline. The Imperial Scouts are not alone, however. The Hilye seal shifters of the lakes of Samasuak offer what aid they can, working with the Suak to find secluded locations that present the best chance of avoiding Jotun patrols. The flat-bottomed boats used to cross the great freshwater lake cannot be found by the Orcs. As each warband reaches the shore of Suak Fount, the Hilye help by sinking the vessel in the deeper waters of the lake away from Jotun eyes. While this helps preserve the secrecy of the raid, it means that the heroes are completely committed to their goal, as there will be no easy way back across the frigid waters of the Atkonartok. Once Suak Fount is reached, the raid splits into 7 smaller groups, each led by a team of Suak scouts. If one party is intercepted, the others might still make it across the cold tundra to the face of Ika. A rendezvous point is established, known only to the commanders of each small band. On the night of the last moon, the last night before the new moon, when the night sky is at its darkest, each warband must be in position below New Yallik Ridge or risk missing the raid. The Jotun appear unaware that the raid is coming, but they are not fools. Regular patrols criss-cross the barren tundra. There is a major force of armed orcs stationed in Samasuak. Hard to get exact numbers, but various warbands encounter armed camps belonging to the Lion of the North, Tower of the North, and Mandaula's Roar. At least 3 armies of orcs in northern Samasuak, and likely more in the east and west. These armed camps present a major challenge to the raid. The Suak scouts cannot be certain where they are located. They can make educated guesses, but the risk is that an unlucky warband will accidentally wander into the path of a patrol and end up drawing the attention of an entire force of Jotun champions. As it happens, the Imperial raiders are able to make it to the rendezvous point without major incident, at least nothing that attracts the attention of the Jotun conquerors. It is the first time many of the champions who have made the track across Suak Fount have been this far north. The first time most of them have looked upon the immense wall of ice that is Ika's tears. It is a sobering sight, a reminder of how small each individual warrior is in the face of the majesty and splendour of the world. Crouched in the shadow of New Yallik Ridge, in the gathering darkness, there is one last council of war, as last-minute adjustments to the plan are made. It seems the barbarians have not been idle since they took the mine. The pride of Ika's tears is now a major focus of Jotun activity in northern Samasuak, A stone and hardwood wall has been erected around the mine workings, supported by watchtowers garrisoned by keen-eyed orcs. Sprawled around it, and protected by a second wall of wooden stakes, is a large army camp. The banners of the Jarl of Kirheim hang from the walls, interspersed with the battle standards of the Tower of the North. Several hundred thralls, both orcs and humans, work the mines, extracting precious mithril ore, which is then transported westward by heavily guarded caravans. This part of the raid still relies on stealth. The closer to the mine and the more damage that can be done before the Jotun realize what is happening, the better. Under cover of darkness, with the world cast into shades of grey by the sliver of the silver new moon, the Imperial champions move down towards the camp. Some of the guards are taken unawares, but it is inevitable that the alarm is raised, voices are raised, drums begin to pound, the clash of steel on steel echoes through the night. The Jotun have 2 beacons ready to be lit, to signal their comrades that the mine is under attack. The heroes manage to stop the first one being lit, but are unable to prevent one of the Jotun warriors from hurling her torch into the oil-soaked wood of the second beacon, even as she is cut down by Imperial arrows. Time is now of the essence. The fighting rages across the armed camp and into the mines. The majority of the winter folk who have become thralls seize the opportunity to take arms against the Jotun, but the orc thralls, however, cower or flee, shouting for aid. Some are inevitably killed. None are prepared to accompany the liberators of the camp. After 3 hours of chaos, silence falls. With the aid of the liberated human thralls, the precious mithril ore is distributed between the war bands. At the same time, Stenir and Varushkan engineers work to collapse the entrance to the mine, choking it with rubble. It is a grim task. There are almost certainly still some orc thralls who have fled to the deepest part of the mine workings to escape the Imperial attackers. They will starve or die of thirst before the Jotun are able to clear the opening. It is a terrible way to die. The work does not take long, and with a great roar the tunnels begin to collapse. It will take the Jotun at least a season to repair the damage and get the mine working again. Then, as hands are clasped, backs slapped, and promises made, the warbands scatter again. Some make for Atalak, others for the passes into Skarsind. Before the sun has risen, the raiders of the Pride of Ika's Tears are on the move. The Jotun, however, are no longer oblivious to the presence of Imperial warriors in their territory. They are actively hunting them with horns and hounds and burning torches. Stealth is still the armour against the Jotun wrath, but the jig is up. Several times the Imperial warbands clash with warriors of the West, yet there are no pitched battles. The northern garrisons try and slow the flight of the champions so they can be surrounded, captured and killed. The Empire's heroes must keep moving. It is no game of cat and mouse, but a headlong rush to safety pursued by an implacable, clever and dangerous foe. Yet the element of surprise has proved invaluable. It is inevitable that some heroes fall, but with 3 weeks still to go until the autumn equinox, almost all the Imperial warbands are accounted for. The last part of the plan involves regrouping once again at Atalak, where the civil service can arrange for the captured mithril ore to be refined, transported safely south for storage. 200 thralls, not only winterfolk but miners of several nations, have been liberated from the Jotun, a symbol of the Empire's commitment to eventually free all the people of Summersuak perhaps. The mine workings have been collapsed, impeding Jotun access to mithril. An entire season's worth of precious ore has been denied to them. The scouts and cunning trackers of Wintermark have a much better idea of the lay of the land. Several maps are updated with details of the Jotun disposition across the northern tundra, which may prove invaluable when the Imperial armies return. Yet it could have been different. The aid of the Fist of the Mountain was invaluable. Without their support it would have been impossible to capture the camp quickly enough to allow the workings to be collapsed and deny the mine. Without their keen eyes, much of the additional scouting that has taken place would not have been successful. As it is, the strategic value of the raid has been greatly improved. The raid on Ika's Tears was a full success, but by a narrow margin. Without the aid of the Fist of the Mountain, only lesser success would have been achieved. If as little as 5 fewer warbands had been engaged, likewise the attack would have been less successful. The mithril recovered from the mine has been placed in the inventory of the warden. The mine at Ika's Tears has been collapsed. the Jotun will need to spend at least 3 months reopening it before it can produce mithril again. Along with the ore stolen during the raid, this means they will lose 6 months' production from the mithril mine. Finally, the Empire has achieved strategic advantage in Suak Fount. Not only can they attack the region without penalties for requiring a beachhead, but until the start of the autumn equinox 384, the ability of the Fist of the Mountain to capture territory in Summer Suak with any attacking order is increased by a fifth, representing the insight gained by the soldiers of the army into the disposition of Jotun troops.